Today on Locked On Rockies, despite a strong start from a reshaped veteran core of Rockies pitchers, the cracks are starting to show in the foundation.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 12th day of May in the year 2026. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Today, we're going to take a look at the May so far for the Rockies rotation and the cooling off of the Rockies rotation here as the season has progressed. Something that's probably not a big surprise to people, but there are some big warning signs that we need to take a look at, especially as the Rockies are going to have to start figuring out what their plan is going to be here as the team is going to get closer and closer to the trade deadline with some interesting contract options. Patrick Saunders has some numbers in the Denver Post we'll take a look at to help out with that as well, including a little piece on a small improvement that actually is something that could be a small thing to point at for the Rockies getting better and being on the right track. And like we mentioned, we'll talk a little trade talk as well, as that's been starting to gather some buzz here among Rockies Nation. Before we dive into all the fun, I want to thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. When you subscribe and like the videos and check us out on YouTube and leave those comments, it's very, very helpful. Really appreciate that. Thank you all so much. And I am, of course, Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire. Paul Holden. Been bringing you this daily Rockies podcast now for over 6 seasons, just at the old 5-year anniversary at Locked On. I came in the middle of a season. It was at the one of those seasons there. So a little wiggle room there, but that's hundreds of episodes of the Locked On Rockies podcast with you, the Rockies fan, going through the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between when it comes to Rockies baseball. And it has been overall a pretty ugly month for the Rockies starting rotation here so far, with 2 exceptions. Jose Quintana and Chase Dollander have been pretty solid. There are some the bummer parts when it comes to Dollander's performance, but something that's a little bit more understandable given the fact that still tweaking things, still working on things, and that's going to be the control issues here for Dollander. So in the month of May for Chase Dollander, he has allowed 8 earned runs, and in that month as well, 8 walks. Obviously, that's not not every situation is going to lead to those earned runs, but given and 5 of those walks happening in the last appearance, but that's going to get, when the walks are increasing, having 7 walks in April, 8 walks now here. When the walks are a factor, when the walks are a problem for Chase, that's when he can get damaged. That's when people can hang up the big innings and the big damage stuff, because despite the fact that if you look at the Chase Dollander's Baseball Savant page, he is above and by far the best Rockies starter when you're looking at the advanced analytics and things. One of the things, though, he's got a 51.3% hard hit percentage. So that puts him in the bottom percentile of the league, bottom 5% of the league. So, I mean, when they are hitting Chase, it has since he's throwing the ball really darn hard, his fastball velocity, 98th percentile in baseball, with that 98.7 average there for it. It just leads to those situations where you're going to get those 4 earned runs. The home run that you allow, instead of it being the solo shot, it's going to be one that you're going to have that extra base runner, the extra 2 base runners on, depending on how it goes, mixed with a 9.7 barrel percentage there as well. Not the worst in terms of barrel percentage, but that's still below average for when it comes to that. So when Chase Dollander gives the opposition those free passes, he's just playing a risky game where he can get burnt with it. Good news, though, 87th percentile on that ground ball percentage for him, 53.1% across the board. He is by the advanced metrics so far this season has been phenomenal and is leading the pack when it comes to intrigue with Rockies pitcher, putting him pitching run value in the 73rd percentile, and he's got one of the best fastballs in baseball here. They're ranking it in the fastball run value at 95%, and I mean, no argument there, right? But that's when we're talking about the warning signs and the issues, those walks, that command, that control. It's been something that we've talked about before with Chase, and it's how you get yourself in trouble real quickly, especially going through that lineup the third time through in that a hitter-friendly environment there. All right, let's talk about the real big bummer for the Rockies rotation right now. We'll go from the one leading the way to the one that has not had an easy go at it here, especially factoring in how much damage lefties are doing against him as well. But Michael Lorenzen has not been good for the Colorado Rockies, and it hasn't just been May. It trickles back into really throughout most of the season as well. He gave up 20 earned runs in last month in April there. That is more than any other Rockies pitcher, even really coming close from any Rockies starter in that situation. Lorenzen actually the only one, let me double check here if I'm getting this right, the only one in April to allow double-digit earned runs. And unfortunately, the trends have just kind of been continuing to not improve here throughout the rest of the season. It's a small sample size, sure, but his ERA in the month of May, which is only one start so far in those 5 innings, is 12.6. He's got that 6 ERA that's carried over since March when he had 4 1/3 there. 20 strikeouts there in that time, which is one of the things that's good to see, especially when you're factoring in the fact that other than Chase Dollander, the Rockies aren't getting a ton of strikeouts. Kyle Freeland had 15 in April there. He's got 11 so far in May. So Kyle Freeland's got that ability, and 17 from Tomoyuki Sagano. But still knowing, striking guys out at that 20-plus batter rate like those two guys. But it's really ugly against lefties for Lorenzen right now, especially 427 average, 467 OBP, is slugging a 793 with an OPS of 1.259. Righties, it's a little bit more reasonable there with a 293 average, 350 OBP, a slugging of 370, and an OPS of 720. But lefties doing that big damage to the tune of 20 RBI, and 6 of the 7 home runs that Michael Lorenzen has allowed so far this year have come from lefties as well. So he's struggling against against lefties there, and the advanced numbers too put him very at the bottom of baseball here. He is letting up some of the highest exit velocities by bottom 8% of Major League Baseball, bottom 2% of baseball in batting average, and bottom 2% in on base, on OBA as well. And hard hit percentage, bottom 6% with 50.3%, strikeout percentage, bottom 7% of baseball, 13.7%. So Michael Lorenzen, and then everywhere else on the Baseball Savant profile, with the exception of walk percentage, all in the poor range. All with most, I shouldn't say all, there is an exception, all below average, closer to the poor range here, with the exception of walk percentage and ground ball percentage, which is slightly above average there. Barrel percentage is one of the other better ones there, but Lorenzen's getting hit, and he's getting hit hard, and that's going to be something that wasn't something that's out of the question for a guy like Lorenzen and a guy like really guys that are in the rotation. We'll talk about Kyle Freeland specifically, I think, coming up here next, because really Jose Quintana and Tomoyuki Sagano have been riding ups and downs. They don't have nearly the extremes as the other guys. With the exception, Baseball Savant, not a big fan of Tomoyuki Sagano as well. again, with the exception of walk percentage and ground ball percentage. But when it comes, especially, he's still ranking in the bottom 10, bottom 5 of Major League Baseball across a few categories, but has been able to be stable, which Lorenzen has as well. And Jose Quintana as well. Kind of a little bit more of a mixed bag. Got better. He's got better on some of the advanced numbers, with the exception of fastball velocity and strikeout percentage. But he's getting really well at inducing that weak contact, which is a huge win, obviously, for the Rockies starters as well. But we'll focus and zoom in a little bit more on Kyle Freeland. But one of the big cracks and the big worries and big concerns that we knew about going into this year was also those that strikeout percentage here. And we're talking again about in terms of the Rockies having bottom 10% or worse in strikeout percentage from guys, both Lorenzen, Sagano, and I believe Quintana, yes, all are in the bottom 10%, with Quintana in the bottom 2% when it comes to strikeout. So when they're getting hit around a little bit more, when they're not able to induce all that weak contact, when they're giving up those barrels, the Rockies starting pitching staff is going to get punished, and that's what we've seen so far through this tough stretch of baseball here. And it emphasizes again our biggest point of why the Rockies offense is so important, because this is going to be the norm. The norm for Michael Lorenzen or Tomoyuki Sagano or even Kyle Freeland in this instance is they're going to they'll give up some runs. It's going to be great if they don't. But like we've said time and time again, it has been backed up as predicted this year. The Rockies offense has to keep up, because this Rockies team, these Rockies starters are going to have issues with preventing runs from being scored. And, they're not going to get the big punch outs. They're going to be dealing with traffic. They're going to be dealing with situations where they need to execute. And when they give up the hard hit balls or the home runs and the extra base hits, that's a big problem. I want to dive into Kyle Freeland's numbers a little bit more, because this is going to open up the door for the Rockies. Have some really interesting stuff that's going to be coming up at the trade deadline at the end of the year, and it involves a lot of these pitchers as well. So we're going to read a little bit from the Denver Post coming up in just one moment. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Rocket Money. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscription spending and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. And it automatically categorizes your spending, so you actually see what you're spending your money on. So you're going to know, where is it? How much is going to the subscriptions? How much am I spending on my delivery? How much am I spending on this? You're going to get that breakdown for you, so you can make the best choice for you. And you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. And who doesn't want to grow their savings, folks? Let Rocket Money help you find your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Back at it here for segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Hey, reminder, get the show ad-free and hang out with us in the Everydayer Club Discord server when you sign up for $5 a month, $50 a year. LockedOnRockies.supercast.com, LockedOnRockies.supercast.com. Also get those details in the show notes. They're available as well. So, to summarize kind of everything we're talking about, the usual and concerns and things that we were worried about with the Rockies starting pitching staff are starting to show themselves kind of as expected as the year goes on. Tomoyuki Sagano is going to give up home runs. What does Michael Lorenzen look like at this stage in his career and at altitude? And as he goes there, how does Jose Quintana look? And there have been ups and downs, and there were going to be the Rocky challenges, and just, overall the it still just felt more stable. It still felt like the Rockies starters, despite the deeper issues there, have helped keep the Rockies in the games. And it's true, they have. But just I wanted to read a little bit. I'm going to read a couple of things from this Patrick Saunders piece. 2026 Rockies, good, bad, and tradable at the season's quarter mark here, because quarter of the way through the season, we know, right? We have an idea and some good stuff here to evaluate the Rockies on here. So I want to read this a little bit here, and I'll revisit some of the stuff mentioned about about some other trade candidates from Saunders here in this piece. However, after a strong start to the season, the starters are beginning to fade. Lefty Kyle Freeland, 1-4, 6 ERA, has a vesting option worth $17 million for 2027, but he needs to pitch 170 innings to activate that option, and it's doubtful he will. There is a $9 million team option for right-hander Michael Lorenzen, but considering that he is 2-4 with a 6.92 ERA and a 3.56 batting average against, it's doubtful the Rockies would pick up his option. But are either Lorenzen or Freeland tradable? That leaves lefty Jose Quintana 1-2, 3.90 ERA, and Sagano 3-3, 4.07 ERA as the most active trade pieces, and throw in reliever Antonio Senzatella 2-0, 1.11 ERA 2, because he's also in the final year of his contract. Somehow, some way, the Rockies are going to have to restock their pitching cupboard for next season and beyond. It's a predicament that DePodesta and company will have to solve. And that's not an easy one, because are you willing? And obviously, I'm with Saunders with the injury for Kyle Freeland and with the way it's going, hitting that 170 innings is going to be very unlikely. So are you going to talk with Freeland about coming back for less money? Is Kyle Freeland going to leave the Rockies behind and move on from the team and try to chase out the end of his career elsewhere to see if not pitching at Coors Field for half of his ball games is going to help him, finish strong and put him in a spot to pitch in competitive games? These are big questions that the Rockies are going to have to be asking themselves going into the trade deadline. I don't think Lorenzen's really showing you enough that makes him tradable, but I said I wanted to dive deeper into the Kyle Freeland numbers here because Kyle Freeland has the potential to still be tradable, and I think teams would be intrigued by him, especially when you're talking about he is a totally a Jekyll and Hyde type of pitcher, but he was great in April. 3.31 ERA over 16 1/3 innings pitched, 13 hits allowed, 6 earned runs, 2 of those home runs, 15 strikeouts to just 3 walks for an opponent batting average against him at 217. Now, so far in May, he's allowing a 400 batting average with 11 strikeouts to those 3 walks. So the strikeout to walk ratio is still great, but the 5 homers, 12 earned runs, 13 runs scored, 18 hits in 9 1/3. That has been and has forever will be the story and conversation about Kyle Freeland. He will show you moments of being excellent and great, but he will also have stretches like this where he's leaving stuff over the middle of the plate and he's going to get punished and they're going to do big damage against him. And the other thing too is you can't point at Freeland and just say, oh, it's a Coors Field problem. In 19 1/3, he's pitched 9 more innings on the road so far. He's got a 6.05 ERA compared to his 5.9 ERA at Coors Field. But in the 19 1/3 on the road, he's allowed 25 hits, 14 runs, 13 of them earned, and 4 home runs there in that time as well. So it's not a uniquely Coors Field problem. There are plenty of question marks about Kyle Freeland and his effectiveness. But he's in the 95th percentile when it comes to chase percentage. Whiff percentage, he's just at about average. He's below average, but not too bad when it comes to strikeout percentage. He's in 85th percentile when it comes to walk percentage. Barrel percentage, just over league average at 7.4. Hard hit percentage, still similar to the K, not the worst in baseball, not the best, not above average, but not in the bottom 25% there. Ground ball percentage, almost at average. There are a lot of things and numbers here that might make Kyle Freeland an intriguing flyer for a team to take. And as much as I don't like it, and especially because I really just I like how much Kyle Freeland has embodied being a Rocky. But at this point, if teams are interested in Kyle Freeland and you're able to get stuff back, I don't see a situation in which trading him wouldn't be a good idea. Even if you're thinking about bringing him back on the off chance that, he's probably not going to hit that option. If you trade him, get something back, maybe he comes back. And that might be the cope, obviously, of what a lot of us think. But is it going to be the biggest risk in the world to move on from Kyle Freeland at this situation and at this juncture? Performance-wise, not necessarily. No, I mean, he's got great performances. He helped stabilize this rotation, certainly. But you could see what Feltner has. You could go with some of the other options potentially as well. But if he's not going to hit that option, the Rockies have to ask the question of what is the future of Kyle Freeland in Colorado, and if that is up in the air. If a team wants to take a flyer on him, I think he would be the potential to move. And I think on the other side too, the Rockies are gonna, if teams are interested in Senza or Sagano or Jose Quintana, for example, the Rockies are gonna have to entertain those deals. I mean, this trade deadline is going to be a very, very fascinating one, as this is going to be one of the first big chances to flip some of these pieces into really starting to build up for what's next. Because just because the Rockies have been a more competitive team and have won more ball games and are on a better track than what they were last year, doesn't mean the fact that this team doesn't have a long ways to go. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this breaks out. I'm a fan of Kyle Freeland. I'm a fan of the Kyle Freeland of what he's done for the Rockies. But I don't necessarily know if there is if there's a reason he's knocking down the door to stay, other than the fact that he has been better than the recent performances have been, and is a guy that can keep you in ball games and knows how to be a Rocky, so to speak. But Quintana might be an interesting one if some players if a team is looking for a valuable innings eating type of arm. But I do wonder how valuable pitchers that don't get a lot of strikeouts are at the trade deadline, and making that move. But all right, let's read a little bit more from this to see some other trade candidates and highlight one area that the Rockies have improved in this year and why that is a good sign for the club. That's coming up next. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes KALSHI. Baseball season is here and now, and you can trade every game on KALSHI, and you can see all the action for yourself, because on KALSHI, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position here. So when you head on over to KALSHI, you can see the different payouts there. Some teams going to be listed at a certain percentage or something like that, and it's a live market. So if you have a hunch, if you're feeling, I'm feeling confident about the Rockies against Skeens and the Pirates at this point, well, you can trade against those peers there in that live market. Maybe though it's getting closer, or maybe the game's going on and you're kind of feeling like, ooh, I don't know about that. Well, it's a live market, so you can buy in and out, so you're not stuck with just one thing. For a limited time, download the KALSHI app and use code LOCKEDON. That's code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to get $10 when you trade 10. Yes, that's right. Promo code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. That's at KALSHI, KALSHI, KALSHI. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Back at it here for segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much again for making us your first listen of the day. Let me know what your thoughts are on the starting rotation here for the Rockies. Wanted to just read a quick couple of things here from Patrick Saunders' piece, including this one stat that is a good sign for the Rockies here. This again from Patrick Saunders, Denver Post, 2026 Rockies, good, bad, and tradable at the season's quarter mark. Colorado was laughably bad on the road last season, going 18-63, averaging just 2.81 runs per game and getting outscored by 213 runs. The 26 Rockies no longer look like automatic roadkill. They are 8-14 away from Coors Field, but 6-4 over their last 10 games. They are averaging 3.95 runs per game on the road. This again, it's a small thing. It's a small sample, but as hopefully the Rockies win more games this year, and the Rockies hopefully stay on the path to avoid the 100 loss season. Really, it doesn't matter as the Rockies look to improve on their record from last year and the records of the two previous seasons as well. The road numbers and the road wins and the runs scored per game, an excellent little benchmark to be looking at there for the Rockies. This would be huge when it comes to a swing for the Rockies there. We're talking again an improvement of the Rockies here, going from 2.81 to 3.95 runs per game there, almost a full run difference per game there. That's going to help them get them not be having that brutal run differential that we saw last year. Now, they've certainly still been blown out. That just happened in Philly, right? It was not necessarily a great series in Philly, and they haven't been wonderful. But the fact that they have won games on the road, the fact that they have had big offensive performances on the road, really big. That is a stat and a stat line to watch as the season goes on. Again, if you're looking to evaluate the team improving or making progress, those runs per games and wins on the road are certainly a great benchmark for it, because it's something historically the Rockies have struggled with, but in the dark ages here especially, they have been extra bad here. The Rockies' .390 winning percentage has them pointed toward a 63-99 record. That would be a 20-game improvement over their 119 loss season in 2025, and that would be also allow the Rockies to avoid being the first team since the 61-64 Washington Senators to post 4 consecutive 100-loss seasons here. Let's see here just a little bit on Chase Dollander. Right-hander Chase Dollander has the best pure stuff on the staff, is exponentially better this season than last. 3.35 ERA versus a 6.98 ERA as a rookie. On Friday, he held the Phillies to 2 runs and 3 hits in 5 2/3 innings, but walked 5 in the Rockies' wild 9-7 11-inning victory. Dollander's command was not sharp, but he didn't implode as he might have last season. Every outing is different for everybody, Rockies manager Warren Schaefer told MLB.com. Today for Chase, he had to battle command issues, but his stuff is so good he was able to stay in it. He competed and he kept grinding without his best command here. And just the Rockies here, as they're looking at this, the questions will remain on what the Rockies are going to do with Beck and Tovar and Doyle and McCarthy and Cash, all these guys. We were talking about the trade deadline. What are they going to do here? I'll just read a little bit more here from it. The hope was that this would be corner outfield Jordan Beck's breakout season, and that center fielder Brenton Doyle and Ezekiel Tovar would bounce back. It's early, but it's not happening. After going 1 for 3 on Sunday, Beck is hitting 169 with 490 OPS. Doyle 196, 529, 33.6% strikeout rate, is showing signs of rebounding, as is Tovar, who's 197, 277 with a 28.6% strikeout percentage, who had 2 singles on Sunday. Still, the trio is underperforming. Beck and Doyle are often supplanted in the lineup by Mickey Moniak and newcomers Troy Johnston and Jake McCarthy. After a 1 for 4 performance on Sunday, Moniak is hitting 303 with a 1.004 OPS and leads the Rockies with 11 home runs. Moniak has had hot streaks with the Angels, but then faded. However, the Rockies believe he can sustain his success. He's arbitration eligible for 1 more season, leading to plenty of internet trade speculation. But if the Rockies don't believe their outfield prospects are ready to carry the load, signing Moniak to a reasonable contract extension makes sense. So something the Rockies there will have to keep an eye on, certainly. And just one last little bit here from this Saunders thing, which is a good little talk about the additions the Rockies have made at first base here and the changes at first base. Utility infielders Edouard Julien and Willie Castro and outfielders Johnson and McCarthy have all contributed to the Colorado's improvement, but it's rookie first baseman TJ Rumfield who looks like the part of the Rockies foundation for the future. He's slashing .272, .337, .429 with 5 homers and is tied with Moniak for the team lead with 21 RBI. Among all qualified rookies, he is tied for first in games played with 40, second in hits with 40, fifth in RBIs with 21, and eighth in batting average. And he's also been a terrific fielder. Rumfield is everything the Rockies hoped Michael Toglia would be. The final shot fired there. All right, folks, let me know your reactions. Let me know what moves you would make, what you're thinking, and let me know what you think the Rockies are going to do against the Pirates as they get ready to take on Paul Skeens tonight. We should see how the Rockies handle one of the best arm in baseball. We'll be breaking it all down and reacting to it, of course, right here on Locked On Rockies. That is going to do it for us today. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. Back to the Bullpen Podcast, Locked On MLB Game Night, Locked On MLB, and, of course, check out Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies Podcast.